This wasn't part of the plan in Buffalo. Not now. Not this late. And definitely not with everything on the line. As Week 17 approaches, the Buffalo Bills are once again forced into damage control mode after losing key depth pieces at the worst possible time. Quiet moves, barely making headlines, but make no mistake, these changes reveal exactly where this roster stands as the season reaches its most dangerous stretch. The Bills are no strangers to late-season adversity. Injuries, sudden departures, unexpected holes, this has become a recurring theme. And once again, the coaching staff finds itself making fast, uncomfortable decisions with playoff implications hanging over every move. One of those blows came when offensive lineman Kendrick Green was signed away. Green spent the season on Buffalo's practice squad after arriving in the off-season with hopes of reinforcing an offensive line that has battled injuries all year. While he never saw game action, his versatility mattered. A former starter with experience at both center and guard, Green represented insurance, something Buffalo can no longer afford to lose. His departure leaves the Bills thinner up front, in an area that's already been stretched to its limit. Depth on the offensive line isn't a luxury in December, it's survival. And that wasn't the only loss. Earlier in the week, Buffalo also saw Shane Buckle, the team's third quarterback, leave the roster. That move quietly created another layer of risk. With no third quarterback currently in place, the margin for error behind Josh Allen just got razor thin. In games of this magnitude, even contingency plans matter. Before we move further into the latest Bills news, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that like button. Faced with these sudden departures, Buffalo moved quickly to stabilize the situation, bringing in Richard Gorridge to add offensive line depth. While his recent production hasn't inspired much confidence, this signing underscores the reality in Buffalo right now: the Bills aren't chasing upside, they're chasing availability. Every roster spot matters. Every snap matters. And with Week 17 looming, the Bills are once again being tested, not just by their opponent, but by their ability to adapt under pressure. This is December football in Buffalo. Nothing comes easy. This is where the season starts to feel heavy. The Buffalo Bills didn't add help because they wanted to, they added it because they had to. The decision to bring in Richard Gorridge reflects the reality of a roster being pushed to its limits. He doesn't arrive with headlines or hype, but his presence matters. At this stage of the season, experience and availability outweigh reputation, and Buffalo is clearly operating with urgency. Every move now is about survival. These late-season adjustments highlight just how fragile momentum can be in the NFL. One week you're steady, the next you're scrambling. For the Bills, the margin for error has nearly disappeared, forcing the coaching staff to act fast and accept imperfect solutions just to keep the structure intact. As Week 17 draws closer, Buffalo finds itself balancing preparation with damage control. The roster has already absorbed multiple losses, and replacing them isn't about upgrades anymore, it's about holding the line. How this team responds to these disruptions may define whether the season continues or quietly slips away. And now, the injury report adds another layer of concern. Buffalo enters this critical stretch with bodies hurting and availability uncertain. The list isn't final yet, but the early signs are troubling. Every practice rep is being managed carefully, every decision weighed against long-term risk. In December, health becomes as important as scheme. At the center of that concern is Josh Allen. The Bills' offense flows through him, and it always has. His presence changes everything. But with Allen currently limited due to a foot issue, uncertainty hangs over Buffalo's preparation. Even a minor limitation at quarterback can shift a game plan, especially in a matchup of this magnitude. Week 17 will demand toughness, flexibility, and composure. The Bills aren't just facing an opponent, they're facing their own circumstances. How they absorb these setbacks, how they adjust on the fly, and how they protect their most important players will determine whether this season still has life. This isn't about comfort anymore. It's about resilience. Confidence is coming from the top. Despite the growing concern around his status, Josh Allen has made it clear he expects to be ready. He's told reporters he feels good, and that belief alone carries weight inside the building. When Allen is on the field, the entire identity of the Buffalo Bills changes. His health isn't just a storyline, it's the axis around which this game will turn. Still, confidence doesn't erase caution. With playoff implications hanging over Week 17, every snap involving Allen will be monitored closely. Even the smallest limitation matters in a game that could determine whether Buffalo stays alive in the postseason race. And Allen isn't the only name drawing attention. The Bills' injury list continues to grow, placing added strain on an offense already fighting through inconsistency. Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid are both dealing with knee issues, and their availability remains uncertain. Knox, in particular, is a stabilizing presence, reliable, physical, and trusted in critical moments. His absence would narrow Allen's options and force Buffalo to adjust its approach in the passing game. If Kincaid is also unavailable, depth at tight end becomes a real concern. The defense, meanwhile, is facing its own challenges. Up front and in the secondary, several key contributors are managing injuries. Daquan Jones and Taron Johnson are limited, while Jordan Poyer is sidelined with a hamstring issue. That loss carries extra weight. Poyer's leadership, communication, and reliability against the run have been vital all season. Without him, the Bills' defense loses both experience and stability at a critical moment. Special teams aren't spared either. The kicking situation remains unsettled as Matt Prater continues to battle a quadriceps injury. Consistency at kicker has already been an issue, and Buffalo now faces another decision point. Whether the Bills stick with their current option or turn to Michael Badgley, the margin for error is thin. In games of this magnitude, even one missed kick can tilt the outcome. As Week 17 approaches, the picture in Buffalo is clear. This isn't just about scheme or matchups. It's about who can take the field, and who can finish the job. The Bills are being tested on every level, and their ability to withstand this moment may ultimately define their season. In games this tight, details decide everything. Special teams execution, roster availability, and late-week health updates can swing the outcome long before the opening kickoff. With uncertainty still surrounding the kicking position, the Buffalo Bills know they can't afford hesitation. A clear decision must be made before Sunday, because in a game of this magnitude, one missed opportunity can erase 4 quarters of effort. Still, there is reason for cautious optimism. The week is young, and Buffalo's medical staff now becomes just as important as the coaching staff. Every treatment session, every limited rep, every recovery plan matters. The hope inside the building is that several key contributors, most notably Josh Allen, will trend in the right direction and be ready when it counts. Right now, the focus is simple: get healthy, get aligned, and get through the storm. The Bills have been tested all season, but this stretch feels different. Injuries, quiet roster changes, and last-minute adjustments have created an atmosphere of urgency. Nothing is guaranteed anymore. Every decision over the next few days will shape how prepared this team is when it takes the field in Week 17. The question looming over Buffalo isn't about talent. It's about availability. It's about resilience. It's about whether this team can steady itself when everything feels unstable. As the Bills move toward one of the most critical moments of their season, the pressure couldn't be higher. What they do next, how they respond, who they trust, and who's able to play, will determine whether their playoff hopes stay alive or fade under the weight of December football.